live off the remaining amount, set your lifestyle up based off of the remaining amount, have your percentages broken up, and as your income starts to grow, keep the same percentages, right? The percentages shouldn't change the more money that you make, unless you want to bring them higher for whatever reason. You can do that as well. But at the end of the day, it's all 100% up to you. But this is one of the ways that you're going to separate yourself from everybody else. Now, as this investment fund starts to grow, as you start getting older, right? Now you can start looking at that investment fund. The bigger it grows because you're making more money, you've invested in yourself. Now it's time to make bigger plays, right? And what is the biggest flex on the planet? Real estate, right? I mean, it's cool to have a Lamborghini and a car and stuff like that, but I mean, at the end of the day, a kid can be living with his parents and afford a $5,000 payment if he works at a decent enough job, right? So, I mean, it's a kind of a flex, but the biggest flex is, what does your house look like? What do you own? Do you own any land? Do you own any property? That's the biggest flex on the planet, right? You start talking about how many doors you own, it's a different conversation. You get into different rooms, right? When your main house looks like a house off of a goddamn movie, a movie channel, now it's a different type of game. You invite people over, they see a house like that, oh, this dude ain't playing, right? You can't fake stuff like that, right? There's things you can fake. An exclusive luxury big old house that you live in, that you own, you can't fake that. How do you get stuff like that? 9 times out of 10, people who live in those houses, they invest in real estate. Even if it's not 100% real estate, they tend to have a real estate portfolio because there's so much money to be made in real estate, right? Especially if you got a good eye, and especially if you keep your ear to the streets and you find great deals. For example, your first deal, you can pull in, $100,000, $200,000 without even really trying. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you trying, not saying it in a disrespectful way, but I mean, I know people who've got houses kind of given to them and they made two, three, four, 500,000 on them, right? Or somebody passed away and a house they didn't even think nothing of happened to be in a decent neighborhood. Somebody passed away, gave them a house, and they got like $400,000, $500,000 worth of equity in that house just by having it. Then you have some people that just, bought the ugliest house in a very nice location. And location is pretty much everything when it comes to real estate. But they bought a very ugly house in a very nice location. And I know some people who haven't even done no work to the house. They just held it for a little while and made 50, 60, $70,000 on a transaction. So real estate is one of those things that once you get one of those big old checks, even if it's $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 profit after all expenses, it's very addicting. It's very addicting to fall in love with that money. That's why I tell you, when you get that money, separate out reserves, investment fund, make that number smaller so that you don't get too out of control, and then you can protect yourself from the downside, right?